able to take a map off of Hitman. That put him certainly on the map here of the fans. He's still going into this as the underdog, but maybe he can do something surprising here. First map, Autumn Leaves. In the bottom left, it is indeed the underdog, LuChaeL.
And in the upper right, had a little bit of a rough start today, but he is the best human in the world. It is Chaemiko. All right, you're the expert here. What are you thinking? What are you expecting?
Well, Des was talking already about DK Fiend, harass. LuChaeL this time around on map number 1 doesn't seem to favor that play so much. He has certainly over the last couple of months preferred much more the Crypt Lord playstyle, and this is a ghoul build. Looking like a Crypt Lord here, likely. It's not necessarily the best or the worst Crypt Lord Expo map. It's doable, but not as good as on other maps. Also, the Lich first has snuck into the meta. Is this a possibility? Indeed, it is. If Insup is watching, he must be very happy to see his favorite hero here being played. Can be played in two ways. It's the interesting thing about a Lich. Either very aggressively trying to take out peasants and do tremendous damage to the human economy, or you can also play it defensively with an expansion. It's less powerful than a Crypt Lord, but still doable.
Are you a fan of the Lich against human? I know you're not a fan of it against Orc, but against human, you think it has some decent viability? You can be honest.
No.
I'm here for you.
No, I think it's a little cheesy. I think it's unreliable. I think if you're out of position for a few seconds and you lose HP, you're kind of out of the early game.
Right.
The big problem with the Lich is he has a tough time recovering because of, well, no aura, obviously. And also, pretty low move speed, pretty low HP in general, and the footies can always pressure the Lich well if the human is in good enough of a position. Just shave off 2 footies, put him on the Lich, and that makes his life very tough already. However, if you have a good creep route, if you have a good aggressive timing, you can do really big damage with a Lich with level 1 or 2 Nova, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and the Nova can always carry you in the late game as well. It's not as though Lich is suboptimal. You just need to somehow find a level 3 for your Death Knight later on, but that's a similar problem you'd face with the Crypt Lord anyway. And here's the expansion, the Ziggurat coming down, the Footman sees all, and he's already putting damage on that Lich. And Chaemiko, like you pointed out, is so good at that, even with the Archmage control as well. Every auto attack available with those claws that he just got from his first camp, he's going to be putting that damage on the Lich.
And Chaemiko seemingly gladly is going to take this into the 2-base versus 2-base realm. I think against a Lich first, also against a fast expanding Lich first, you can also play much more aggressively with the tech, but it always puts you in a dangerous position, right? Because even if that strat is strong against it and a push should work out most of the time, if something goes wrong, the push doesn't work and the Undead is on 2-base and you can't kill him, and the game is automatically lost. I like the confidence here by Chaemiko, willing to take this into the late game, because he really is... Guys, we promised you, he is one of the best humans in the world. He has a little bit underperformed so far, but we hope we can, you know, step it up a bit.
Yeah, that Ring of Regen is going to be quite nice if the Novas do find their way to the Archmage, but for now, only peasants in sight for LuChaeL. He's going to look to get not 2, not 3, not the standard amount. He wants every single one of this expansion. He's hungry. There's a Lich level 2. That means Dark Ritual. That means even more Novas. But the skeletons are being cleaned up quite quickly. Is it going to be the same story for the ghouls? That's 2 peasants so far, and there will be another Nova.
Look at that block. The one peasant goes over to the towers, keeps building it, blocks the skelly, can't attack. And that's the issue with the Lich. The Archmage correctly starts pinging him right away. Lich loses plenty of HP and has to run. And the damage here that he was able to do wasn't that high, but also he didn't commit in too many ghouls. The expansion is fairly delayed. Lucy, I've seen him plenty of times do that before. Creep with 4 ghouls rather than 3. 3 is also very doable. Gives you the expansion much faster, although the creeping is a little bit slower. Perhaps a choice that he may need to look at the future, but he certainly needs to do some more damage. This Lich aggression has not done enough yet.
Yeah, and he's definitely got to be aggressive, just not to do damage, but also to keep his own expansion safe, which he might have failed at because the Archmage is already running over to get some cancels, but it looks like he's going towards, I don't know where he's going. He's going to the shop right now. That's going to be a whole lot of dead peasants. That's 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4, 5, 6. That's going to be a lot of experience for the Lich.
Yeah, Chaemiko was a bit off with the read. He was really expecting the Lich to be creeping. He wanted to punish that with the AM while creeping himself, but then gets punished himself hard. Did not think the next follow-up attack was going to come in, and this is the damage that Lucy wanted to do, needed to do. One ghoul gonna get caught. Important last hit. Of course, with the Dark Ritual, you can easily deny those last hits. No experience to the AM. Was almost level 3. And this is always the dangerous part of the early game for the Undead when fast expanding. At some point, AM will be level 3, and then holding off against that with only ghouls is pretty tough.
Ooh, nice deny again. That's 2 for 2 for Lucy, and the Archmage still level 3. There's a green camp, though. He could go towards Chaemiko if he wanted. Or maybe just that. Oh, no, still just barely, and his inventory is full as well. But aggression seems to be the play. If he can get a skeleton, a ghoul, anything, he'll be level 3. And those level 2 water elementals are such a huge carry. Ghouls, like you mentioned, really fall off against those. The pressure going to be thwarted completely by that Nerubian tower, but maybe Chaemiko can find another opening here aggressively on the map.
Only one last hit, and he gets it. AM claims it for himself and prevents it on the Lich. Very important as well. We talked about it. Level 2 Nova, super strong, especially against ghouls, and also with this build, where there's lots of mana sustain from Dark Ritual. Ghouls coming in, flanking from the side. Normally in a fast expansion game, where both players fast expand, the Undead is the one to be attacking faster, but Lucy, not on the way to tier 2 yet. Chaemiko is, and that puts the human greatly ahead. Yeah,
it feels like he's had a lot of ghouls pulled for a long time. Not a ton on lumber. He does have the lumber now to start teching, but now the issue becomes HP on his Lich, and he's continuing to get pressured. He's going to have to heal that up some way. He's got the Ritual Dagger, but the ghouls are now in danger as well. Seems like Chaemiko's finally returning some of the pressure he received.
And this is what I was talking about earlier. Once the Lich is low HP, and if he's not super well leveled, it's very hard to get him properly involved. And it's of course thanks also to Chaemiko's great play. He knows exactly always how to position his Archmage. He's also known for his great footing control. That was not quite visible here yet, but I think the AM positioning and control in general was absolutely wonderful. This Lich has been benched for most of this game, and he's supposed to be the carry.
Yeah, not able to get level 3 anytime soon, and Chaemiko on his way to level 4, even with this ghoul kill. Oh, little fumbly bumbly there. Doesn't get the ghoul kill with the footman, but that's all right. He'll eventually clean it up, and now 41 versus 37 supply of the tech. About, what is that, 40-second advantage for Chaemiko, maybe even more. Shop and Lumbermill on the way. Chaemiko's looking in a fantastic position despite some adversity with the peasant losses.
Getting that Graveyard cancelled, pretty annoying. The transition to Fiends will have to be there. These ghouls will fall off heavily. With Frenzy, maybe you can find some timing, but that is way off in this kind of fast expansion game. And Chaemiko is starting to find quite a bit of damage. He's picking apart LuChaeL little by little, it seems like. But at least now it's level 3 and should, at the very least, be able to force away this Archmage.
Yeah, that Graveyard was delayed for so long that now the ghouls that already kind of suck, there's the Town Portal being forced out. The ghouls that were already having a rough time are going to have to be the only units that Lucy has for a while because the Graveyard canceled once, needed to be rebuilt in the main base. It's very, very late, but the Tier 2 should be done quite soon. In fact, it will be. And we'll see when that Mountain King makes his way out in about 5 seconds. He'll start being produced. I imagine it should be a Mountain King. Probably still pure standard. I don't imagine Chaemiko will change anything up unit-wise, hero-wise, just because of the Lich first.
Yeah, I think the MK is just too strong. Stormbolt, you need some sort of catch against Undead. Otherwise, they're just going to run circles around you and clap in this kind of 2-base with big armies. Makes a lot of sense as well. We have a Shredder. Zeppelin, Shredder Harass. Is this Sheik playing right now? What the hell? Okay, cute play for sure. But Chaemiko is playing more standard, more by the book. He's also on his way to go for an attack, maybe. One tower only at the expo. This can actually do something.
Oh my god. Yeah, the Shredder is so good against these normal armor peasants that pretty much close to, it was 3 shots, but close to 2. Does a ton of damage, but the base is so nicely placed there. The Sim City is excellent, so the peasants just run out. 1 footman, 1 Nova. Not really the trade you want in Lucy's shoes, and Chaemiko's counter-pressuring and doing even more economic damage, it seems.
Yeah, Tier 3 is coming up soon, and same cannot be said for LuChaeL, although he does have the resources. Could, in fact, start here in a moment. The ghouls have been so busy, the Fiends have been delayed for so long, the lumber economy still not looking great on either side, I guess. MK now starting. And I wonder what kind of army Chaemiko is going to go into. The thing is, we don't have Frost Armor, so Knights could have insane value.
Right. Yeah, we're not going to have Death Knight 3 for a long time. We don't even have Death Knight being produced. Double Slaughterhouse. Is that just for... Like, when I see that, I think Destroyer Push from back in the day. And Lucy is an old school player, but that's got to just be for more standard production, right? Certainly. He doesn't have a second crypt, though, does he?
He's a big fan of A-bombs for the Disease Cloud, just like me, but they need to have the right place in the game. Lich now is level 4, and that is actually a sick level up. Level 2 Dark Ritual is super strong. You can be a bit wasteful even using it on ghouls or fiends. He just ate a ghoul for 240 mana. That's essentially 2 Novas. It's very, very powerful and is going to put an end to everything that these footies will be able to do.
Double Griffin Aviary. Does Chaemiko have a read on what you said, his affinity for mass abominations? So maybe he's just hard countering it. Triple Griffin Aviary, which isn't too uncommon even in standard play in this matchup nowadays. But normally a little bit underwhelming if we have a ton of Banshees. Footmen run by, need to get value while you still can before there's Destroyers. And I'm still waiting to see what those Slaughterhouses will produce. A little bit careful on the Archmage there, but he will back away, and one more Ghoul will fall, and that's probably almost all the Ghouls cleaned up now.
Yeah, I like this play by Chaemiko, you know, make use of the footies while you can. You can't do that for much longer. Taking out one Fiend, of course the Fiend counters here is going to be crucially important. It does seem a bit risky to me, though. If Lucy throws down a second Crypt right now, if he finds out what's coming, second Crypt, Mass Fiends, and Banshees, it's gonna be hard to make that work with the Mass Air style, but we'll see how it works out for Chaemiko. He certainly has lots of gold, but what he needs now also is time. Time to produce all these air units.
Yeah, Lich is almost level 5. This is because of all the denies that have come in. We see almost level 4 Archmage, but almost a full level advantage on the side of Lucy, so that's quite nice. I don't think he scouted the Griffins yet, though. All the attention was given to both players' expansions and a little bit in the main base of Lucy so far, but nothing to the main base of Chaemiko. So those temples, okay, there is Banshee Adept on the way, so it is just going to be a standard army composition, but with double Slaughterhouse.
Trying to create more space, one more Ghoul might go down, not quite. Lucy again forced to stay back, and it should be pretty obvious at this point, like you've only seen footies so far, the human is super aggressive, obviously he's trying to buy time for something.
Right.
And normally it's either Griffins or tanks. And the scout should come off soon. MK dies, was only level 1 though, is going to be out soon. But it feels like Chaemiko still needs a lot more time before he's really strong. Like with the Mass Griffin style, you need like 70 supply at least, with a bunch of upgrades and hero levels, until you're going to be powerful.
Yeah, and Storm Hammers as well, upgrades, and the Lumber's not great. The Shredder earlier was stolen, and if Chaemiko wanted one early, he's not going to be able to get one. He can get one now if he wants, but too little too late. And the Paladin now out 60 supply, immediately breaking upkeep, in fact, for both players. But still, when the Banshee count starts to rise, it's going to be difficult, I feel, for Chaemiko to win a fight before he has, like you said, you know, 7, 8 Griffins.
Interesting game, definitely. This is not normally what we end up seeing in this matchup, giving us a new taste. Lich level 5. Very scary now. There's going to be so many Novas he's going to be throwing out. Dark Ranger 3rd. Always, of course, a decent choice. In huge armies can sometimes be a bit underwhelming. Pitlord with Howl could have also been a way to go. But here we go. This is the timing. Ghoul Frenzy's ready. But the Griffins, of course, have a good answer.
Yeah, those Ghouls are pretty much free experience. The Lich might end up being free experience as well. No Town Portal. There's boots and coils available, but only level 1 coil. Destroyer's morphed. Obviously cannot be attacked by the Griffins, so a hard counter in a way if they did damage, but they don't do a ton of that. Still, though, where are the Banshees? A Garg is now being produced as well, but I feel like that can just be destroyed if it's little numbers of Gargs. He's going into 2 Crypt Gargs right now.
That's an interesting dynamic. Gargoyles can counter Griffins, but you can easily try to go for the counter to that with Dragonhawks that you have available already. Then it comes down to Silence and Nova and Heal Scrolls, so it can be dual, but normally Gargs, certainly not too much seen in this matchup. In fact, not much seen anywhere. And Chaemiko, you know, he's starting to get those upgrades. Second attack upgrade for the Griffins. Now we have Storm Hammers. He's going to get a bit more creeping done. And it took quite some time, but Chaemiko's starting to get where he wants to be.
Yeah, that's 10 Griffins now with the upgrades you mentioned. The Tri-Hero not looking so scary for Chaemiko. He's about to get level 2 Mountain King. He'll at least maybe have Divine Shield, but he might just go Aura, which could be a mistake. It's tempting to go Aura, but against the nuke of the level 5 Lich, it's going to be really impactful. The Frenzy Ghoul is finding some value here on the Peasants. I think this is the right play for LuChaeL. I think this is the right play, absolutely. Go for the run-by, wait till you're prepared with the Banshees, with the Gargoyles, and just play pure hit and run. Even finds a Griffin. He could find 2 more Griffins here if Chaemiko's not careful.
Those are expensive, expensive units. But in the meantime, Chaemiko, he might be taking out the Haunted Goldmine. In fact, I believe he did. Yes, he did manage to do just that. The Griffin damage is substantial, also against buildings. And now it's a game of chicken. Who's going to TP back home to his expansion first, or to the base?
Yeah, and that might as well be the main, too, for LuChaeL. That is the tech right there that he's about to lose. Of course, his production buildings are elsewhere. We're seeing the damage of the Griffins on the Gargs there in small numbers. Town Portal back. First actual kind of big fight. The statue's not going to stand the test of time. And LuChaeL backing away. That's a decent Nova to start us off. But there doesn't seem to be enough anti-air.
Piercing down from the Fiends, still pretty low. Of course, the Destroyers can't be attacked at all, but everything else can. Holy Light coming in the last moment. We have a heal scroll as well. Lich, still so much mana. I think if Lucy can just stay in the fight, Lich might be able to win this by himself. Supply-wise, we have Chaemiko in the lead, but that might be deceiving.
Well, Dragonhawk's come out, but he only needed one where he made 3, and it looks like we're down to, what, 2 Destroyers? That's all I see, and the heroes can carry. There's a greater mana. The Death Knight hit level 3, but he's going to need, like you mentioned, a whole lot more Novas, a whole lot more kiting. Yeah, it's just 3 Destroyers and a Gargoyle. Kind of a sad army, and now it's 1 base against 2 once the economy gets cooking in the main base of Chaemiko again.
Absolutely. It ends up being a really smart play here with the mass air from Chaemiko. Perhaps he just knows Lucy so well, knowing the double Slaughterhouse play is what he's going to be going for. Most undeads, especially the European ones, would be going for double Crypt and Fiend Banshee. The good thing about Fiend Banshee, and sometimes the bad thing for the meta, is that they're good against everything. They're basically the best army against everything at all times.
Yes.
Especially against human. But yeah, hardly any Fiends, no Banshees. It's up to the Destroyers and the Lich to somehow win this game.
It's very weird that he didn't go any Banshees because he got Adept as well. Much, much earlier. 5-6 minutes ago, he had Adept. Like, I assume he still has the Temple if he didn't lose it. Like, wouldn't a Banshee or 2 be good just for the heroes and the Banshees themselves, the statues? Like, I feel like that'd be excellent right now.
Yeah, I feel like Banshees work best in an army where you have a lot of damage output, so you have both sides covered, the damage reduction and the damage output, so that's why they go so well with Fiends, and because they can take over Knights and all that stuff. So I don't know if Banshees in this army would be the game-winning thing, but yeah, I come back to the Fiends. There's a reason we see him so much, because they are so effective. It's all down to the heroes basically now for Lucy. He has to get value out of this Lich level 5, right into the main, use the Nova again and again, kill the peasants, and buy time for the expansion to come up again, because right now, of course, he's so far behind economically.
He's trying to hit and run a little bit more, but does he not have a Town Portal? He does not have a Town Portal, so he's going to be forced to fight. Okay, Silence to disrupt the Shackles. Don't see that too often. The Zeppelin isn't really going to do too much when there's so much anti-air. The Destroyers will be able to do their damage, but how much damage is that? The Lich has to be super careful, but Coil level 2 is there. Orb of Fire putting in its work as well. Pushing and Vulnerability could be forced. The Nova just to try to retreat, and LuChaeL really has no opportunity to get value, it seems like.
Nova could be big into the peasants once again. Takes out 1 or 2 easily. Lumber for Chaemiko, surprisingly looking quite good. He was very diligent about remaking these peasants whenever he needed. And he's got that big scary army now. He probably knows that the expansion across the map should be more or less finished again. And we're going to have mining resuming, but yeah, without Fiends, I don't see Lucy taking on this army.
Yeah, if we do run another, say, 5 minutes here, we're going to get to the close to the super late game where the main bases are running dry. But it's worth noting, both players, as our observer points that out, both players have lost a lot of gold in their main bases. The run-by with the Footmen earlier, the run-by with the Destroyers and the Ghouls at times, so they're going to have a little bit longer than expected gold. But eventually, we're going to be one base, and then it comes down to who has more gold in their expansion.
It also seems like LuChaeL has plateaued for now. Like level 3 Dark Range is around the corner, but it's not really that super strong.
Right.
Silence level 2, maybe. Lich is not going to get stronger. DK is going to take a lot longer to really hit the next big power spike. Whereas for the Pally and MK, we have huge levels coming up. Both on level 3 going to get tons stronger. Same for level 4. AM level 5, the same story. So we can see Chaemiko here continuing to accelerate and to look stronger and stronger in this game. He's, with these run-bys, struggling always to get to that 80 supply, but even below 80, this army quite scary. The Destroyers still a bit of a headache, but also at the same time not really that big of a threat, I would say.
There was once a show match where LuChaeL, previously known as Lucifer, played against, just for fun, a gold hacker who had quadruple bestiaries, mass wind riders, and he managed to beat a 100 supply air army with just 3 heroes. Now, this is looking kind of similar. There's no gold hack on Chaemiko's side, but can he kite with the heroes? I think level 2 Aura would be a big upgrade, but the level 3 Nova can work wonders if the air clumps up.
Yeah, I wonder if he should maybe work on some kind of vision. Walk around the tree line. The aura, as you said, like a shade, actually.
Right, yeah.
Might not be a bad idea. Ghouls in the main. More peasants going down. We've seen that before. Oh, that's a juicy Nova.
That's very nice. The lumber is fine, so Chaemiko just has to kind of produce gold peasants or transfer them over. This is definitely going to be a town portal, but a lot of time bought, especially for that expansion to start mining again. There's something down at that expansion now, just a water elemental, but will be fed some more experience close to that level 4 Death Knight now.
I'm sure Chaemiko would love to just take a straight-up fight, but Lucy smartly not giving it to him. With all these air units and the aura, he's very, very mobile. Chaemiko's units are certainly a bit slower, but he's got the more scary punch. Taking out the Acolytes right away, this could be an easy snipe once more on this Haunted Gold Mine. Take out the Ziggurats as well while you're there, why not? We have the counter-attack. Lucy, I think he's playing this tactically pretty smart, I gotta say. He's doing what he has to, but where does he go from staying in the game and surviving from winning?
Absolutely, yeah, and Destroyers are terrible against the buildings themselves, so there's no chance for a base race. There's only chance for run-by on the Peasants, and I think Chaemiko's realizing that now. Just going to go and kill the Black Citadel. Why not? He's going to shut down that expansion, and now the main base, as I mentioned, soon to run dry. I think LuChaeL's going to have about 3 minutes left of mining, so we'll have some time. But still, Lich level 6, is that a potential if we do get into base trade? I mean, there's no town portal for Chaemiko. Death and Decay, could that be a game-winning move for the first time in history?
It could kind of be, not even memeing. Like, if he's managing to attack the expansion with the army, kill that, and then take out the main with a Lich, maybe, but we should also assume Chaemiko would react to that. TP home from Lucy. Is he finally going to take the fight? This is what Chaemiko has been waiting for 10 minutes. Goes for the Lich right away. Tons of damage. But he does survive with the coil. DK, he might be the next target. Can't heal himself. Silence still wearing on. The Mountain King was slowed there. Now able to catch up once again. The next Stormhammer might be the next kill. DK hopping into the Zeppelin sometimes, but now the Zeppelin is gone. DK might be following. He's got the big heal potion. Woo! Use that barely in time. Hoylite followed him. Now following after the Lich. The next focus fire might be the kill. Finally. Coil was used, it's on cooldown. Lich, Invul Potion with that, survives, and the DK will finally fall. Right clicks, Holy Light, and Chaemiko does claim this 1-0 in a very unusual game. Lich fast expansion opening. That is not the right winner. Wait a minute, am I crazy?
Yeah, no, you're not crazy. Yeah, that was the wrong winner. Yeah, it was Chaemiko taking that in the end, for sure.
Yeah.
Destroyers are good, but not that good, and yeah, will be 1-0. For Chaemiko, yeah, as you mentioned, a very unorthodox game. The Lich first isn't normally even that weird. That was particularly weird from both players. The Griffins, and then the mass, I think that was 7 Destroyers in the end. Not known for their damage, mostly known for their ability to have just get rid of things in the fight. Get rid of debuffs, help you kite. I mean, of course, they can't be damaged by the Griffins, so you might think on paper they'd be great, but the damage just isn't there.
Yeah, and as we said, tactically, it was the right thing to do. Run around, make use of the mobility, fly in with the Destroyers, get the kills over and over. Maybe should have tried to fit in a third base with that, maybe. Right. But with how active he was being, that's hard to do. Maybe he should have sent out the Frenzy Ghouls and creep the the Kobold camp at some point while running around. But, you know, it's all hard to do. Much easier said. This was certainly far from the norm. There's not so much this developed flowchart of what you need to do.
Yes.
This was a lot of going by feel, but, you know, I've seen Griffins attempted against Undead, and especially Happy many times, and usually it always fails. I'm always a bit, you know, tentative, but he had worked out well in the super late game. The mass air does have quite that punch, and yeah. Before we go into the next game, we're gonna throw into a short break, and then we'll be back with the next map.
The DreamHack WarCraft Free Championship is brought to you by Norton Gaming and Coinbase.
Wow, those were some hardcore gamers, weren't they? Wow, the flames and everything, the weapons, unbelievable.
Dude, and the pistol especially, the knockback, hasn't been much to a shooting range.
Yeah. Oh, come on, that was kind of real. For me, it was realistic.
I don't know, I'm just supposed to like hold it here. Anyways, if perhaps he's not that great of a shot, he certainly is looking quite stellar here in the game. Earlier, Chaemiko was struggling against X-Lord, but now, with a 1-0 lead, looked quite good with an unconventional style. It was the masked Griffins working out well. He seemed to know exactly what was coming. He saw the double slaughterhouse and was like, yep, I know this one. And I'm just going to go mass area, going to be ready. He found some fiend kills on the way. Lucy, I feel like it has been a bit to his detriment that he's been trying to be so outside the box, so experimental. Of course, you know, there's some benefit to that as well, especially if you can come in with a surprise and there's no answer to it available to the opponent right away. But, you know, I think sometimes he's trying to be too much of a hipster and nobody appreciates him for it.
Yeah, agreed, definitely. At least in the game, he tries to be a very hip cat, but Chaemiko, definitely a player that plays it close to the bone. Very, very standard. There he is in the bottom right. Looking quite strong. Is he strong enough if he makes it through LuChaeL that he can defeat X-Lord where he failed before? I wonder if this is a good enough warm-up for him if he manages to win right here on Tidehunters.
Yeah, pretty sure we're going to see the fast expansion once again. Oh, wait a minute, what's that? Is that a DK Ghoul build?
DK Expo, maybe?
That's the DK Ghoul build, yeah. It was a bit fashionable for a while there. The DK Expo with ghouls. We saw it from 1-0 and X-Lord for a while. Not so much at the moment. It's more about the Crypt Lord once again, or just old school Ted Fiend Harass. But this is going to be somewhere in the middle. You want to get that Expo up nice and early. And I think it makes sense on this map. It's easy to do here, and you're going to have the DK for the late game, which, especially in these drawn-out extended fights, is going to be stronger than the Crypt Lord.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great build. You get that Expo up and that tech up as early as you can. Like you mentioned, you have that DK level 3, which is a struggle always when playing unorthodox first heroes. You need that level 2 Death Coil. And then you just go straight into 2 Crypt Fiends, and you get out of those ghouls as soon as that Archmage hits level 3, ideally. It's all about the cleanliness of the expansion and the quickness of the tech and getting that DK level 3. If you can cross all those 3 things off your checklist, you're good to go if you're LuChaeL.
Yeah, of course, since there's not going to be a Crypt Lord here involved in this expansion, it's first going to be harder to creep, not by much, as we said. Very easy expansion to creep. But also, the pressure you can apply across the map without beetles is going to be a lot later. And perhaps you're going to have a tougher time as well dealing with the counterattack.
Right.
But we'll see how Lucy is going to manage all that. Whew, that was almost a footy lasset. That would have been a disaster. Footman control here for Chaemiko is always excellent. Who is not going for the orange into Expo, which is the norm. He's taking the green as well, Chaemiko is, and that might mean he's going to go for the bigger expansion, actually, the Turtle King.
Interesting. That'll be a very quick level 3, which means the ghouls will have pretty much no impact. I do think what LuChaeL can do with the ghouls... Oh, Footman, nice around there. Okay, that's not quite going to be... Oh, will be level 2 after the last creep, right? So that's going to be actually a nice upgrade. But one thing LuChaeL can do, despite the level 3 Archmage, is he can threaten the counterattack. He doesn't actually have to commit into the water elementals, but he can threaten killing peasants, which should keep Chaemiko at least passive with the Footman, if not the Archmage.
What we saw earlier, by the way, because Lucy decides to creep with 4 ghouls instead of 3, which is also doable. His expansions tend to be rather late. Looking at the lumber, still not enough. It's 210 lumber for the expansion, but he's going to be there soon. Big Invo Potion for the Archmage could be helpful. Forest around, but more importantly, he's got now the level 2 Water Elementals. Summons them right away. Of course, Lucy running past the footies wants to go for those squishy peasants and find those juicy kills.
I feel like he's going to lose a lot of ghouls here. The question is, can he clean up the peasants? Almost could have gotten a full surround on all 5 of them. They're in perfect position, as perfect as they could be. The Arcane Tower on the way. First peasant goes down, but denied. A coil saves 1 ghoul. Ooh, just a straight-up cancel is definitely possible. But again, I ask the question, how many ghouls will fall for this?
It's not a good attack so far by Lucy. Okay, he gets the cancel. But Chaemiko can set it up right away again. This is not that big of a deal. One peasant died so far. That one was denied. If these 2 ghouls fall, Chaemiko can go for a really strong counterattack. One more peasant dies, but that's 2 peasants going down only. But it is definitely becoming, starting to become a significant delay on the Expo.
Yeah, it's getting there, but yeah, that is the issue that you point out, like the counterattack. If you commit your ghoul lives in to do the pressure, because it seems very tempting, very tantalizing to get those peasant kills, to get that Expo cancel, but if you're losing the army that you have, the counterattack's just going to kill you. Chaemiko can just run to the main base, he can run to the expansion. The Death Knight's got barely any mana, half HP, only 2 ghouls with him. This is going to be a devastating counterattack if it does come.
And that's why Lucy is staying in the south. He wants to keep focus on the human side. He knows he can't do much here, but he wants to force the Archmage to stay here to make sure he's not suffering damage across the map. Got a Telestaff as well to be very mobile. Makes sense on a big map like this. Joins the ghouls. Oh, this could be big. And has a dust that I've been trying to figure out why, and I don't get it.
There was potential for a Cloak of Shadows, but he would have already known. Interesting. Maybe if one of those turtle camps gets prepped in the future. For now, though, just peasant slaughter. But again, 1-for-1 trade most likely. There's 3 peasants going down, but there's 2 ghouls that are about to fall. And that's not a good trade for LuChaeL.
Also, I think a graveyard was not started yet, but we see the Halls of the Dead. When you commit in so many ghouls like we see here to keep the human on their side, sometimes we see an early graveyard, so you want to have Fiends on the way already for when the footies finally hit for the counterattack. Also, of course, when you go for the peasants like we saw here, you never kill any footmen, so they can just be remade and they amass and they grow in numbers. And now, this counterattack is going to be very scary.
Yeah, and both players with not a ton of bank currently, but the production will come online. The tech is soon going to come online, I imagine, for Chaemiko. His lumber's a bit shy because he did lose some peasants. His expansion did get cancelled once, but still. This is where he equalizes. There's double Nerubian, the second one being upgraded currently, but I don't think that's going to stop Chaemiko.
That graveyard, by the way, far out if that one gets cancelled. Just reminded myself of Jeff Bridges. It's far out, man. So far, though, pretty well handled by Lucy. Not taking too much damage. Losing the Haunted, of course. That's the big no-no. He's trying to force these footies away, but again, with the ghouls, it's not that easy. These elementals and also the footies, pretty effective right now. One Acolyte taken out, I think can be remade from the Necro at the expansion. One footy killed off. Chaemiko looking for more damage.
Yeah, that first water elemental gets focused down. Maybe it could have been fit in the back a little while longer. It keeps it alive, but he's killing Acolytes. That's 2 so far. The ghouls are killing some footmen, but the tech is already underway. Whereas, you know, the footmen don't mind lumber. LuChaeL does need some of these ghouls left over if he loses all of them, but he's cleaning up a lot of these footmen, though. He's getting some counter damage at least.
The DK is hardly participating. He's just standing in the back. DK not known for having the sickest right click, but it does help out, especially in this kind of weird, scrappy, low supply fight. Now finally gets there to put in some right clicks. It seems to be a bit late, but footies will be cleaned up here after some time, but I think Chaemiko has done a good job here, diminishing the numbers of the economy, the Acolytes. And we're looking at the tech. There, certainly Lucy is far ahead, so this game looking much, much better than game 1.
Yeah, but I fear there's not much of a transition generally with this Death Knight expansion. Correct me if I'm wrong. You try to get up to 60, 70 supply as early as you can and actually use it as almost like a human side versus Night Elf timing. You get up that massive army and you push the expansion of your opponent. But I don't see the production starting at all, really.
Yeah, we have some Fiends coming. Finally, they will be scaling into the late game much better than the ghouls we saw before. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Normally in this kind of 2-base game, the human will need to get tier 3. Will need to get Knights, Triple Hero, and probably some casters and breakers. It takes a long time to come online. So there's a big window for the tier 2 undead to really get damage in and perhaps even crack the Expo. But the IM can also try to counteract that. He gets level 4 fast and then can perhaps continue to level 5 and then hold off quite impressively with those Watch Elementals. Lich coming, more Fiends, and again, double Slaughterhouse for Lucy.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm wondering this time what is he going to go into? Like, it was Mass Destroyers, but sort of his hand was forced into Mass Destroyers last game. Is he finally going to be able to get around to doing what he originally wanted? Whether that be Abominations, A-Bomb Meat Wagon, Necro Wagon, who knows what he's going to do, but I doubt it was Mass Destroyers originally that he wanted to do on Autumn Leaves.
So, choosing to do this before the tier 3s even started. The only thing you can do is statues. Of course, well, you're going to need statues, but you don't need double Slaughterhouse for that. you can also add in wagons. I have seen some wild 1-0 games where tier 2 pushes with fiends and wagons, but that even in his hands didn't look too good. Still a big question mark above my head, wondering what's going to happen here. Chaemiko is also scouting diligently. Going tier 3? Is he going Griffins again? No way.
That'd be interesting. We'd see the Aviaries pretty soon. If not, he's getting the attack upgrades for Griffins right now. He might be. I mean, it could be for other things, of course. It could be for the Knights, but still, I mean, he's getting it that early. He's not going into any production buildings like workshops, for instance. So maybe it is the Griffin Aviaries.
And again, we have a similar play by Chaemiko. He's trying to buy time here until tier 3, put in some economic damage with the Archmage and the Mountain King, which should be arriving soon. And it's the Griffins again. Wow.
And if there's not 2 Crypt Fiends, how do you counter it? Double Slaughterhouse is just not good against Griffins. There's nothing to be found there.
He doesn't have to commit to the double slaughter, though. He could just still make...
For sure.
Either cancel the Slaughterhouse or unsummon it or whatever. Make second Crypt, make Temple of the Damned. And then I think Lucy would be massively favored. But if he doesn't go into the big Fiend army, it's going to be rough. He's got 3 Fiends at the moment, not quite enough. But he's got the strong DK to support him.
Yeah, I feel like the issue is time, though. If he were to unsummon that Slaughterhouse and then go into a second Crypt, like, he could already maybe be close to 70 supply if he was just pumping Fiends on 2 Crypts and went into a single Temple, single Slaughterhouse. Nice statue find there by Chaemiko. That's huge. With just 3 Footmen and a Water Elemental.
Trademark move with the blocks that he's so good at. Takes out 1. That's a big deal. 2 Crypts coming now. All right, so Lucy says, all right, I've seen your Griffins. But guess what? I don't go Fiends. I'm going to go Gargs once again. But he's upgrading Web and Burrow still.
Cancels the Burrow.
Yeah.
All right.
True.
This cancels the Web. Okay. Gargs it is, then.
Such a weird game. Why won't they just play Standard?
Yeah.
Sounding like an old man. Interesting. This is certainly not what we used to see from the European players, where things rather ride along some guarded rails. But we'll see how it plays out. Paladin coming once again. The levels for Chaemiko here not looking tremendous at all, with the exception of the Archmage.
Oh, statue again. Uh-oh. That's a lot of damage already. The Footman again? No way. He just repeats it. Deja vu here. Okay, misses the block this time. That would have been another dead statue. But the Acolyte's still juicy. That might actually be the 5th Acolyte. No, that's a Sacrificial Pit, so that was the 6th Acolyte. Luckily for LuChaeL, he's creeping right now the marketplace, trying to get a consumable himself. Want a mana stealing there, but another statue. Definitely dead this time.
Getting caught. No way to save it. Probably going to be TP forced here to save the rest of the army, but the MK will be falling. Indeed it will. 1 more coil to send the dwarf to the grave. Chaemiko with lots of gold. Lumber looking all right. Pally comes out, but again, it takes so long. These Griffins, until they're all there. They got the upgrades. You got the numbers. So Lucy, I think he's got a good window here to go bottom left, take a lot of the creeps, and then play with a high hero level advantage.
He's getting Stone Form before breaking Upkeep. I mean, I don't think that's the most impactful upgrade in this position, but I guess he's getting everything before he breaks Upkeep, preparing. He's getting +1 attack as well. And the question is, will Chaemiko be aware of the Gargs? He's still going into Griffins. Before he went into Dragonhawk Riders, and he actually got, I think, 6 or 8 Dragonhawk Riders, which is plenty against the number of Gargs we had last game. But LuChaeL's just banking. He could get a strong enough army if he's given the time.
A player's forces are under attack.
4 Gargs and a Dreadlord.
4
Look at
Gargs
that.
at a time. Dreadlord. All right, this is really cool. Playing his own style. I can appreciate that. They will scale quite well with the upgrades. It's going to be very important here for Chaemiko to figure out how many Gargs there are and how many Dragonhawks he's going to need. Because without Dragonhawks, these Griffins will, of course, be easily overpowered.
And then that's quite nice. The remainders of the creeps are being cleaned up right now. Looks as though Chaemiko wants to either hit the Expo or creep maybe the red, which could be nice. Will be tough to do the Golem itself, but everything else can be crept quite easily by the Griffins. Still 1 consumable at the bottom of the map and labs for both, actually, so plenty of creeping. Even enough for maybe, you know, level 3 on the Paladin Mountain King, but it seems like pressure is the play for Chaemiko.
Into the expansion we go. Should be a TP back home. Actually, wait, what? Chaemiko's TPing up. I didn't see the TP there. Excuse me! Of course, used the TP to get away. Did some good damage there. It certainly ends up being around 400 gold economic damage or so. Chaemiko checking the rest of the bottom left, seeing what's left there to creep. Not too much. Lucy actually gets the red camp from this exchange, which is going to be a nice opportunity for a great item. The auras, of course, here are tremendous.
Absolutely, yeah. There's tons of nice auras. I think almost all of them would be good here, except for the Unholy Aura. Dragonhawk Riders now coming out. The question is, will there ever be enough? Because if there isn't enough, actually, if there's few, they're still good at reducing the damage, I suppose. But if they're focused on, they'll die immediately. If there's just 3, 4, 5 against what's soon going to be maybe 12 Gargs even, it'll be tough. Unholy Aura, that's the one he didn't want.
Legion Doomhorn. I swear it has a 50% drop rate at this camp.
Today, at least, yeah.
Feels that way sometimes. Chaemiko, what's his level saying now? Pally close to 3, MK also not too far away. This would be really good levels for him before taking the big fight. 4-3-3, if he managed to get there, might be enough. It should be enough, I think. But what is enough Dragonhawks? That's the weird question, right? You saw the Garg army earlier. It's around 12 Gargs. It seems like 6 Dragonhawks. That might not be enough at all.
I think 6 is getting there. Maybe 7 or 8, then he's just going to clearly win the fight. But as long as he gets the shackles off and they're not in an awful position, it's going to be very hard for LuChaeL to go past the Dragonhawks or past the Griffins rather, and focus on the Dragonhawks one after the next. Yes, they'll fall, but I mean that's only if he shackles 7, 8 Gargs. There's only going to be what, 4 getting to the backline or trying to.
Yeah, this is also going to be a very weird army. Normally, your usual games don't look like this. So, you know, we oftentimes talk about players and how good their micro is. And it doesn't just come down to how talented you are and how quick you are, whatever. Also, like, how much experience do you have with the strategy?
Yeah.
Like, how much have you microed this before? How familiar do you feel and how comfortable do you feel with it? And here I would definitely give the edge to Chaemiko. His micro has always been outstanding. And he looks like he's been playing this strat a lot. All right, here we go. We run into the main. Once again, the peasants will be suffering. We even have Carrion Swarm now. Even more AoE damage, however, only level 1. Not that much DPS, all things considered. TP out by Lucy. Actually, doesn't want to take the fight. Got the level 5 on the DK and level 4 on the Lich. And did not skill Dark Ritual. Interesting. Frost Armor level 2. I'm a big fan of that against Knights. But here, going to be a bit less effective, I guess.
Yeah, I'm wondering, the Dreadlord, of course, the aura and the AoE is great in the air versus air fight, but I'm wondering if a Dark Ranger, in retrospect, would have been better here. For the silence against the shackles, knowing that Chaemiko probably going to transition not into flying machines, not into rifles or anything like that, but into Dragonhawk Riders, I think Dark Ranger would probably make the fight a lot easier for LuChaeL, but the Dreadlord, if he can get level 3, could make the difference.
And he's sort of close to that. Sells the Lionhorn, has the Pally Aura already. No Divine Shield, however, but big Invul Potion still.
88. Quad Gargs coming out, breaking into the high upkeep. Honestly, I feel like this is the first time we've seen high upkeep today, even, despite having a lot of longer games. There's 88 supply. Not enough gold for further production. Okay, he's getting 3 more. Never mind, they're already queued up, so 94 supply. Chaemiko's not going to win a fight any longer.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He's got amazing upgrades. 2, 3 upgrades on these Dragonhawks and Griffins, and 2-1 on the Gargs, also not too bad. He had the 3rd attack upgrade on the way earlier. He must have cancelled it, I guess. What we do have coming, by the way, though, is Gyros. And Gyros against Mass Gargs absolutely destroy. But he doesn't have much supply open to go for them.
Yeah, he's got to go high upkeep himself with flying machines. If he can get, you know, 8 and add them into his army, which is pretty easy to get, honestly. I mean, it would be a lot of AoE damage. If he can get some heal scrolls himself, Chaemiko, and have those flying machines just pelting away in the back, they do a lot of damage to the Gargs that are certainly going to be clumping up at least a little bit. So this game is getting kind of spicy here. They're about to run out of gold pretty soon, and then maybe a 3rd base potential for both players.
Very interesting game here indeed. It's going to come all down to the execution of the fight. Especially gyro positioning, I think, is going to be key. This is some weird kind of 4v4 game. Like, what is this? Mass Gargs and Mass Human Air? And now we're going to fly in the Flak Hands, of course, to splash damage against these Gargs. And in we go. Everything colliding. There's so much DPS against each other. The Vamp Aura helping out with the lives as well on these Gargoyles. And it's a big cluster of hard to tell what's going on, but it seems like Chaemiko was taking a decent fight there. Lucy still in high upkeep at 82 supply, but did decide to TP out right there.
Yeah, Chaemiko wasn't in high upkeep there, right? Because he didn't produce anything. He was at 73 at the end of the fight. Did he really only lose 7 supply there in that fight?
Yeah, I don't think much went down either. But the Dreadlord did get level 3, and that is level 2 Carrion Swarm. It's going to make things quite a bit more difficult. So again, it's going to come down a lot to the positioning of the Gyros. You kind of want to have them behind the Dragonhawks and Griffins so that they soak up the damage of the Carrion Swarm, because of course the Carrion Swarm has a max damage cap. Lucy needs heal scrolls really badly. He doesn't have a single one.
Yeah.
That greatly surprised me. He needs that heal scroll against the splash of the Gyros very, very badly.
Yeah, I think both players could use one, especially with the AoE now of the Nova and the Carrion Swarm level 2. The Carrion Swarm hits the flying machines. Another big fight. Can't tell what's going on, but air fights tend to skew one way or the other completely. Seems like a lot of Gargs are falling. It's currently 57 against 67 supply, and a lot of Gargs are getting low. Another Town Portal out because the Death Knight was getting low, but at the end of the day, every single Garg except for, I think, 3 goes down, but the supply, totally even almost.
That's pretty crazy. Like, only Gyros are left at the end of the day.
Fiend production now, just transitioning out of it. Yeah. I love it.
I think that's the right call as well. All right, so we're in a weird game of rock, paper, scissors right now. So Chaemiko, if he was to anticipate this move, could go into Knights now, maybe, although he has not too many upgrades for them. He has 2 attack upgrades, but no armor upgrades. This is honestly still a very winnable game for Lucy.
Absolutely. There's not a lot of gold left in the mains now. And we said this last game, like a 3rd base would be wise for Lucy, but we're getting to that point. That's what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes of mining left over. By the 25-minute mark, then we're going to be down to close to 0 bases because the expansions will run dry soon after. Okay, 64 against 48. Yeah, the expansion and the main bases are pretty identical at this point.
Just saying hello for a second right there, taking out a bit more Acolytes again. Gyros, very fast. You can micro them very well. They also have a good base attack time. Chasing after the Gargoyles, taking out 1 more. Gonna fall back. MK almost level 4, not so relevant of a level up.
Chaemiko's banking. 1,700 gold right now. He's just gonna bank till his gold mine runs out and then maybe just goes again into Griffins. And, you know, enough mass, even if there's Banshees, which I doubt there will be, mass Griffins can totally work.
TP out this time. MK in a bit of trouble, but there is the Holy Light. Thank goodness as well, otherwise he's gonna get executed. That's a level 3 Coil Nova, kids. You better be careful with that.
Yeah, that's a hero killer. That's an Archmage killer, to be specific there. There's no silence. I mean, there could always, now that he's transitioned out of air units, I sleep for the Paladin could find a lot of value if he does reach level 4. That could be an Archmage killer with that nuke on top of it. That's almost one-shot in this Archmage, despite the gauntlets. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. I think he should absolutely prioritize that now from his resources. Even before level 4, like, just go sleep level 2. Sleep level 2 is really good. The other spell is going to be largely useless, but sleep is so good. Just spam that non-stop on the pally. That could be the way to win this game. No TP here on Chaemiko. Dangerous position.
It does have the supply advantage, but a lot of that is in production currently, and some of that was just lost. So actually, the fighting army is much better. That's 2 Griffins caught out of position. The next 3 are going to be rallied. I hope for Chaemiko's sake that he doesn't have them rallied on his hero. The nuke, we're seeing the power of it there. 1 more round of that, and that would be a dead king, but there is Holy Light at the end of the day. And okay, LuChaeL looks to be tying it up here. Like, close is still anyone's game here, but he's in a decent position.
Yeah, the late Fiend transition here seems to be doing wonders. No counters available to them as it seems. Heroes coming in from the other side. Archmage, you talked about, needs to be careful. Silence! Sleep, there it is! And the Archmage will be falling! No TP, nothing to save him. That was the level 4 level up for Sleep, and that might be the game-winning play. Without the Archmage, is this still doable? The Griffin damage is significant. But the DK still so many coils left. Pally needs to be careful. He's the healer. Put in the back where he needs to be standing. MK level 4 looking for more kills. The Griffin damage. Is it going to be enough AM? And when is he coming back? Not started yet. We have more Griffins in the pipeline. Perhaps also about the mana cost. GG is called. Chaemiko gives this one up, and Lucy will tie it up. 1-1. This time, the Mass Griffins don't work out. It looked good for a while, but I think especially the tech timing here making the big difference.
Yeah, very, very weird game. It's not a game that you can compare to others, really, but at the end of the day, yeah, just Nice transition, quadruple crypt Gargs, a little bit unorthodox as well, but what works, works, and the hero nuke at the end of the day, with the sleep as well on the level 4, does seal the deal. That Archmage, very vulnerable.
And if I'm correctly informed, we should have a short break now as well. If production could tell us, that would be great.
Yeah, that statue kill was massive, and he almost got the next statue kill. That was when LuChaeL was really on the ropes there for a while, but then the hit and run, the fights were, I mean, it's very difficult to micro air versus air fights. I said it earlier, but it tends to just be, okay, I lost all my units that I don't know how for one or the other player. But here, this fight was excellent. I really feel like this could have gone in Chaemiko's favor with those nice flying machines in the back. They were constantly pelting in the back, but he really, with nice focus fire and nukes, cleaned up all those air units.
If Lucy had stubbornly stayed on Gargs, this would have certainly been Chaemiko's game, but the Fiend transition was smart, made a lot of sense, and there was nothing that could be done against those Fiends. We're going to have one more short break, guys, and then we're going to have the decider of the map, 3 in the lower bracket. See you in a moment to catch the result.
The DreamHack WarCraft Free Championship is brought to you by Norton Gaming and Coinbase.
Hippity hop, here we are back again with a decision. Map 3, Lucy ties it up. I must say, greatly to my surprise, looking way better than many people would have thought, and now with a chance to actually make it to the decision match against X-Lord. Took a map off of Hitman, took at least one map off of Chaemiko, and now heading into our map 3, has a decent chance, I think, to perhaps even take this home.
Yeah, LuChaeL, a very surprising performance so far. Chaemiko with a little bit of a disappointing performance so far, but Northern Isles could change that. There's always second chances to come back, despite a little disappointing so far, and this is the man himself in the bottom left of Northern Isles. Here's Chaemiko.
And at the top right, the legend formerly known as Lucifer. Let's go champ for LuChaeL. Starting off this time with the Ghoul build. Well, actually, that's the third time with the Ghoul build. It was a Ghoul build every single time. Lich the first time, then DK, and we talked about already in the break. It could very well be a Crypt Lord here to make the trio perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great map for it. If he wants to do it, he would do it now. Do it now. We'll see what the hero is when the Ziggurat finishes. And Dreadlord!
Oh my God!
Let's go, Lucy. All right, I love it. I love it. Man of the people. Man of the people.
Oh, wow.
There was a fourth map he played Crypt Lord, I bet.
That's definitely style points.
Yeah.
Always a fun hero. It's very hit or miss, to be generous with wording. But yeah, it's got its own strengths, especially the sleep surround potential early is a threat against an Archmage specifically. High levels in Carrion Swarm can be good. However, when it comes to expansion, creep speed, and harass potential, and like summons and beetles and all that stuff, and even right clicks, the Dreadlord is a lot worse in a lot of departments. So I'm not a big believer, but if sides in chat, I know somebody will be happy to see this hero right here. Dreadlord, somewhere on the F tier in the hero tier list, but hey, you know, anything can work.
Yeah, of course, you mentioned the harass. You kind of need level 3 to do anything serious. Once he gets level 3, level 4, level 5, and then eventually, of course, level 6 is almost a win condition at times. Then the Dreadlord can carry, but in the early game, this is about all he can do. Yeah, you got a Footman, but now you're scouted, and Chaemiko goes for the Tuskar. I wonder, is he just going to go Murloc into Lab and just go straight across? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, there's absolutely a possibility. Also against Dreadlord in the past, there was a while when we saw Dreadlord a bit more. This was like maybe 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the standard developed into, for the human, to not expand, but go tier 2, play a rifle push with, what's the word? Alchemist, and then have heal spray sustain and go for a mortar team push. And that turned out to be very, very hard for the Undead to deal with. If you go into a 2-base game, you make the life of the Dreadlord much easier than if you stay 1 base and play aggressive.
It doesn't seem like it, although I do think that would have been a great call. So Chaemiko gonna give the respect and the space to LuChaeL, who gets the parry to Vitality in the level 2 from his expansion, but it seems like just a level 3, little bit of a late expansion creep, but the Archmage, Lightning Shield, Greater Heal, those are all excellent items actually. The Cloak is great against the Sleep Surround potential, but maybe just a Blind Dust purchase again?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets it again. Well done.
He got it already from the main. He really, really doesn't want to get messed up by the Cloak. There must have been some games in the past on ladder where a lesson was learned.
Yep.
All right, and the tier 2 is coming up. This is, again, kind of what the humans figured out that the right play is supposed to be. Don't expand, go tier 2, go rifles, alchemist, and then push. With like 50 supply, heal scroll, and yeah, mortar teams, oftentimes proxy workshop even. Like send militia across the map, build a proxy workshop. Hard on this map though. Can you even build something next to the altar, next to the tavern? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I mean, you could do it like in between the bases, maybe, but yeah. A little bit of a slower level 3 creep route, went for the triple green route, but still here in time to potentially cancel that gold mine. And Lightning Shield is going to make these ghouls pretty much useless. Is that a surround? No way he locks that in. You can always kill the barricades, the staff, but look how much damage on the Dreadlord. That is devastating damage.
And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. With the Dreadlord, you really need level 3 before you can do anything. And he's so far away from that right now. He needs godlike micro to take out one footy after the next and get that level 3 slowly but surely. Again, great pinging with the Archmage, always putting on damage on the Dreadlord if he's in range. And Lucy, you know, had a decent showing here, but boy, oh boy, is this game looking horrible. If the Dreadlord falls, that might be it already. Whew. 5 HP, running away, footy chasing, gets the kill, throws in the sword, decapitates the king, and that is the GG. Lucy, on map 3, things didn't go his way, but let's not be too sad. He had a decent showing here for sure with some map wins here and there, but Chaemiko will move on in the lower bracket and get that rematch.